This is the verb ser, to be, in Spanish, and we're going to go over it in the preterite. Now let me just say right up front, for real complicated reasons that I'll explain later, you wouldn't understand now, you don't use this verb in this form very often, okay? You normally use ser in a different form called imperfect, okay? But just realize, you will occasionally see this form, you'll occasionally see ser in the preterite, but it's not that common. I'm going to say each form of the verb in English, then in Spanish, and I'd like you guys to repeat with me. Ready? I was, yo fui. I was, yo fui. You, friend, were, tu fuiste. You, friend, were, tu fuiste. She was, ella fue. She was, ella fue. We were, nosotros fuimos. We were, nosotros fuimos. They were, ellos fueron. They were, ellos fueron. Now remember I talked about how strange and irregular ser is in the preterite, in the present tense. It turns into soy, eres, es, somos, son. It's very, very irregular. Well, since ser is very, very irregular in the present, it's also very, very irregular in the past. There are three things that make ser tricky in the preterite, okay? Number one, notice there's an fu, fu. That sounds terrible. Oh, look at all the FUs. Be careful with that. There's an fu, 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 fu in each form, okay? Number two, it's an ER verb, so you expect it to end in I, ISTE, IO, IMOS, IERON. But notice, it's not IO, it's E, and it's not IERON, it's ERON. And number three, you expect there to be an accent for preterite verbs in the yo form and the he form. So there's an FU in all five forms. These bottom two are tricky, and there are no accents. So this is what I'd call a triply irregular verb, okay? Now, again, you don't say fui, fuiste, fue very often. You hear it in things like, oh, it was an accident, or it was a horrible thing. Normally, when you say it was, you're describing. Like, it was a big building. It would be imperfect, era. She was very beautiful, era. Okay? So 90% of the time, I'd say, when you're saying it was, it's a description of something, and it's going to be era. Okay? So again, tricky verb. You might want to watch this clip again. Ser, to be, in the preterite.